Hey guys, Daniel Lyttle here again with another video for you about weight loss and fitness. And today's my second tip when it comes to return on investment for your time in the gym or pound in the pavement. Okay, so we've already discussed that running is the worst possible choice if you want to lose weight fast. Now, the second thing I want to tell you about is what chews more fuel, a big forward drive or truck, or a little hatchback Barina smart car style stuff. Exactly, it's the big forward drive. Now, why is that? Because it has more mass to accelerate and to decelerate. It has more mass to get going and to keep going, right? Now, this is where a personal trainer will talk about active tissue mass. So how much muscle do you have versus your fat ratio, right? Now, fat obviously doesn't use very many calories to survive, whereas muscle does. Every time your muscles contract and relax, right now, just me talking, my mouth is moving, my eyes are moving, my hand is moving, I'm using calories. So the more muscle I have, the more calories I'm going to consume. So I'm 6'6" and 120 kilos. If I was sitting here next to a 5 foot, not much, 54, 60 kilo petite female, I am chewing up more calories sitting here and talking than she is, right? I'm making very obvious stereotypes. My apologies if I offend anybody, but that's not the point of what we're getting on about now. We're talking about how many calories we consume. So if I went for a walk around the park and they went for a walk around the park, I'm going to burn more energy because it takes more fuel to get me up to speed and keep me going, right? I have more muscle mass. I'm a bigger engine. So if we take that same philosophy and apply it to your body. Now, a lot of you guys are trying to be this petite little, and I know talking about engines isn't the most feminine possible topic, so my apologies. I hope you're able to keep up, and I'm not insulting you either with assuming you don't know about cars. But I find this is the best analogy. So if you've got a very fuel efficient 4-cylinder car, right, like in your little hatchback car, then it doesn't chew much fuel. And it could run around all week. I've got friends with little cars and they boast that they only fill up their car once a fortnight. Now, for fuel economy and for saving money at the petrol station, that's a wonderful idea. But your stomach is your saving account and you want to spend as much money of that as possible. So we don't want to be saving money or calories when it comes to our body. We want to be expending as much as possible. So we want a big, thirsty, gas guzzling, think like your American muscle car, right? So we need to take you from a fuel efficient 4-cylinder into a 6-cylinder or even an 8-cylinder car, something that chews a lot of fuel to go from point A to point B. And you do this through lifting weights. This is where this whole conversation is going. Lifting heavy weights, okay? It increases your muscle density. Now, we don't always need to get big and bulky by lifting weights. I know the first comment from many females is, I don't want to lift big and bulky. First of all, guys do want to look big and bulky and they bust their ass to get there, okay? So it's not as easy as it sounds. Now, understandably, in the first couple of weeks of you lifting weights, your body is going to adapt. There is going to be a little bit of muscle adaptation. You might grow or thicken out or just typically just become denser. So you're going to weigh more on the scales, but that doesn't necessarily make you bigger, because we all know a kilo of muscle might be this big and a kilo of fat might be this big. So if you lost 1 kilo of fat and then gained 1 kilo of muscle, you're still half the size, right? As to give you a rough example. So you want to lift heavy weights. And we can do that through if you don't have heavy weights, we can do that through elastic bands. We can do that through time under tension by slowing down your tempo, or we can do that by having a gym membership and lifting heavy weights. And I mean your deadlifts, your squats, your bench press, your chin ups, your bent over rows, all the big compound movements that are going to use lots amount of muscle. And your body has to adapt to get stronger. And it's in that adaptation phase where it creates more muscle fibers and denser muscle fibers that you're going to start using more fuel. That is what you want. So then you go from, let's say, 1,400 calories a day up to 1,600 calories a day. This is in your total energy consumption, right? And then if you're eating 1,500 calories a day, instead of putting on weight, you're now losing weight and you haven't had to change your diet at all. So it's a really easy way to keep eating whatever you're eating and start losing weight. Or if you reduce your amount of calories and you increase your active tissue mass and you increase your daily calorie intake, that's when you get really good results really quite fast. The other thing is that you want to increase your active tissue mass, because if we go back to my last video about driving around in first and second gears all the time, at some point your body is going to get adapted to that energy expenditure, right? And your body learns, okay, this is my new normal, I need to now get fitter, okay? So when you are doing those high intensity cardio style dancing around, or jazzercise style classes, then eventually your body's going to get used to that, and it doesn't have the same calorie expenditure. By lifting weights, our body's constantly adapting and constantly having to burn more and more calories. So that's the other benefit of it. Let's say you put on 5 kilos of muscle, you lost 10 kilos of fat, you're now 5 kilos lighter, but I guarantee your body will look absolutely different. You will be able to maintain that weight loss for a lot longer than if you had just started running, or if you just started doing dance style classes. As soon as you stop the dance style classes or the running, or those aerobic style classes, you're going to put the weight back on again, because all you've done is changing your fuel consumption. It's like, today I haven't driven, so I'm not going to use any fuel. But if my car is still idling while it's sitting out the front of my house, and this is what I'm doing right now, I'm idling. If I go for a run, I'm going to increase my fuel consumption. If I go lift weights, I'm going to increase my fuel consumption. Then that's when it starts to change my body. So right now, your body's sitting there idling like at a set of lights. You want to be using as much fuel as possible, and you do that by having an 8-cylinder vehicle, and you get an 8-cylinder vehicle by lifting heavy weights. All right, that was a long way to get there. But look after yourself, because you two will be together for a while.